Welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Haroun Risa. And in this episode, we're going to be discussing about the choice of the right font. One thing is a clear fact is that the moment you pick the right font for your project and you pick your font well, no one is going to notice anything. But if you pick your font poorly, everyone is going to notice. Font is the combination of the family, weight, and size of the letter. The font isn't just one of many page design considerations that you must balance when creating your book interior. The elements affected by the choice of your font for your project include line length, height, page size, margins, page layout, and letter spacing. That's just the interior. Your book cover fonts are also important for the same reasons highlighted. Think about the purpose of your project and choose a font that aligns with that purpose. If, for example, the goal is to convey a sense of professionalism and trustworthiness in your writing project, a brilliant choice of font might be something classic and serif. If, let's say, a font is similar to the font used by other products and other companies of the same industries that had been successful, you'll find that the users are also going to be looking into yours that way, and thus it's going to be given more value. Fonts help tell your brand's story and are with the logo, so choosing the fonts typically is going to be coming first. Fonts also help with things like the design layout, giving the readers cues and shortcuts within the navigation, which is why you should choose a font that is easy to read and also with a clear distinction between different letters. Avoid using decorative or novelty fonts which might be difficult to read because readability is key to the success of your writing project. Also, once you've chosen a font, be consistent in the use of that font throughout your entire project. Using too many different fonts is also visually overwhelming to the reader. And this is going to be making your content, including your book cover, less appealing to the readers. And it's going to be hard to read as well. Surprisingly, fonts have personalities, and they also set a tone by the way they look. And they can evoke emotions in people as well. This is why it's important to take font seriously when you're making the choice of your font for your writing project. Yes, absolutely. Because the readability is something that needs to be taken seriously when you're choosing your font. And that's why with matters concerning the genre that your book is based upon, it's very important to choose the kind of font you're going to use for your writing project and to stay consistent with it, because this is something that contributes a great deal to readability and the readers you're targeting with your writing project. So, for example, with matters concerning Mombasaraha My Foot, you can actually see that the heading has a different font compared to the font that was used for my name, and also the font that was used for the details. You see, let's say something like a quote that's coming from someone who has reviewed your book is going to be a different font, but more appealing to the readers, and also with matters concerning the title of your book. This also is something that is very important because it has to be appealing to the reader, and it also has to go hand in hand with the genre of your book. You see, this book is fiction, so the title has to be something that is not too big, but big enough to catch the eye of the reader. And also your name is something that has to be seen very clearly. So I chose this specific font for the book mainly because I was looking for something that was going to also be appealing, not just to the readers, but also generally to everyone who would actually see something interesting when it comes to this novel. And also the size was something that mattered a lot. It's not something that was going to be too big, but it's also something that was going to be artistic enough and also something classic, so that when someone sees the book, the first thing they do is grab the book itself to take a closer look at the name of the title, and they will also ask themselves, why Mombasa Raha my foot? Because with most Kenyans, from what I've seen, most of them actually just think about Mombasa Raha. So when they see Mombasa Raha my foot, they all just think, why? Why that specific title? So with matters concerning the interior of the book, one thing I would actually like a lot of readers and writers too to understand is that you need to stay consistent with the font you choose, and also paragraph spacing is something that you need to pay attention in great detail, because when you stay consistent, you actually are going to it's going to be a lot easier for anybody to actually do proofreading and editing with matters concerning your book. And this is something that also should be taken seriously when you're choosing font for things like the table of contents, chapters like preface, and what you're actually talking about in preface. Though one thing authors need to understand is that preface is mostly for fiction and forward is for non-fiction. So even if it's a non-fiction book, the font you choose and how you select this font in matters bold or italic, this is something that also plays a big part in matters concerning how the interior of your book is going to look like. That's why you need to be very clear about the kind of font you choose and the paragraph spacing which follows, because paragraph spacing is something that plays a huge part in readability. As you can see here, as you can see with the preface of Mombasa Raha my foot, you can see that this is the same exact font. The font is called Minion Pro. It's something that you can easily find in Microsoft Word, and you can easily download it if it's not in your copy of Microsoft Word. So with matters concerning the font I chose, Minion Pro, this is something that helped me to stay consistent with writing this novel and all the chapters in the interior. Because as you can see with the preface, you've seen that there are some places where the font is italic. Even the heading of the chapter, you can see the heading of the chapter is more italic. And there are some places where the font is a bit bigger in size. And this is something I actually chose to prove something to the readers, to prove a point, a specific point to the readers. I wanted to prove a specific point about why I chose the title Mombasa Raha my foot. That's why anybody who is not a Kenyan is going to ask themselves, what is Mombasa Raha? Anyone who is not a Kenyan is going to ask themselves, what is Mombasa Raha and why is it so popular amongst Kenyans? That's why I had to explain in the preface what Mombasa Raha means when it comes to actually writing this project. So with matters concerning proving a specific, an important point to readers, the font has to be a bit big, but not too big to the point where paragraph spacing is becoming a problem. or proofreading and editing also starts to become an issue when you're actually editing even your chapters. Because even the editing of chapters plays a big part in how your book is going to look in the end. The biggest role of the publisher is mostly the marketing and distribution of your writing projects, because there are specific people in the publishing company who are going to be doing proofreading and editing for your writing projects. The people who are doing proofreading and editing are the ones who are going to even be picking the right font for your project and explaining to you also why they've chosen that specific font for your project and the size of your font too. And also how some other places, like some beginning of some chapters is going to look with matters concerning the size of the font. So with matters concerning publishing companies, a lot of times it's the people behind the proofreading and editing who are mostly playing a big part in even important things like paragraph spacing and the design of both the interior and the cover design as well. Because most times the author, when they submit their manuscript, the author doesn't always do their own proofreading and editing, unless as an author you're good in that as well. But you're still going to need other eyes to be able to highlight some errors you may not have seen when you're doing your own proofreading and editing or even cover design. You can actually choose a specific font to use for all the projects that you want to create. But you also have to be careful about things like how you're going to actually be editing your book and how it's going to look in matters paragraph spacing and page layout, and how your chapters are also going to look in matters concerning the number of pages and the table of contents regarding your book. So yes, you can choose a specific font to use as a specific style when it comes to your own type of projects. It's something that you can actually choose. But with matters in nonfiction, it's important to choose different type of fonts when it comes to nonfiction. Because with nonfiction, you're talking about inspirational and real-life issues through writing. You see, there is no way that anybody can say that writing does not have a trigger. Every single aspect of writing within an author has been triggered by something unique out there, something that may have taken place in real life, something that they may have encountered which inspired them, or an individual who they actually met and got inspired to start their own project as well. So one thing for certain, as Kenyan authors need to understand, one thing for certain is that writing has a specific and unique trigger within every single author. It's something that has been sparked within you, something that you feel, I will express myself a lot more through writing than doing something like spoken word, for example. And even with the poets who write their own books, this is something that happens even to them, and even to those who write motivational and religious writing projects.